Hey guys, it is Progressive Transformation in here, and today we're going to talk about the bicep curl. While I'm talking about the bicep curl, I want to talk about a few subjects, and the first one is the actions performed in the execution of this exercise. They are going to be four, and firstly we're going to talk about the elbow flexion, which is the main movement we're going to make in this exercise. While executing the elbow flexion, we're going to use mainly three muscles. Firstly, we're going to use the brachialis. The brachialis is the strongest elbow flexor in the body, and this is true because the brachialis only crosses one joint, the elbow joint. Also, one thing you guys need to add into consideration is that the brachialis is the muscle that lies beneath the biceps brachii, which means that when properly developed, it will push the biceps brachii up and out more, making the arm as a whole seem fuller and with more volume. Also, the second muscle we're going to use in this elbow flexion is the biceps brachii, which also crosses the elbow joint and will share the brunt of the load with biceps brachii. With brachialis actually. And the third muscle is going to be the brachioradialis, which is going to play a supportive role with the two main muscles. The second movement we're going to talk about is supination. Supination is going to be mainly handled by two muscles. The biceps brachii being the first, and the supinator muscle of the forearm. Actually, supination is a really important part of this workout because the brachialis, that big and powerful muscle we talked about, cannot contribute to supination, which means that the biceps brachii will have to bear the brunt of the load. And while we are doing this, when we are performing the bicep curl, we can properly isolate the biceps brachii. Number 3, the third movement we're going to perform while executing this exercise is shoulder flexion. Shoulder flexion will be mainly handled by the biceps brachii and the anterior deltoid. While I'm talking about the biceps brachii, in order to be more detailed, the brunt of the load will be shared with the long head of the biceps brachii. This happens because the long head of the biceps brachii also crosses the shoulder joint. The fourth movement we're going to talk about is isometric wrist flexion. The isometric wrist flexion will be mainly handled by the anterior forearm and is going to be responsible for not letting your wrist go backwards during the curl and maintaining a neutral grip position along the whole movement of the curl. Now that we talked about the movements we're going to perform in the execution of this exercise, the second point I wanted to talk to you guys about is which gym equipment should you use. While performing this exercise, you have three very viable options: the barbell, the easy bar, and the dumbbell. They are all great choices with only minor differences between them, which we are going to discuss right now. When comparing the barbell and the easy bar, the only difference you will see is that when you are doing the bicep curl with the barbell, you will be able to maintain a more supinated grip position than if you are holding the easy bar. But if the easy bar feels best in your wrists, you can also opt for the easy bar, since the difference in supination is pretty much irrelevant. Dumbbells are also an awesome choice. There are only two bad things about them, with only one actually, which is that you need to make bigger increments in weights when you are switching from dumbbell to dumbbell. Meaning that if you switch to a weight you cannot handle yet, you're going to have poor form, and it is going to make progressive overload more difficult than while using the barbell or the easy bar, because in those options you can make a more minimal increment in weight. Now that we talked about the gym equipment that you will be using or you can choose to use, we're going to talk about how to exactly perform the exercise. First of all, in this section I wanted to talk about load, and I would recommend going for a low to medium load and going for 8 to 20 reps with this load. When I say you should go for a low to medium, I say this because you should actually focus more on squeezing the biceps than in putting more weight while you're doing the bicep curls. I say this because the more weight you put in a bicep curl, normally the poorer form you will have, and you will end up not placing as much tension on the bicep as you could have with a lower weight. Secondly, I would like to talk about grip. Me personally, I would recommend a shoulder width grip. Some people like to go for a narrow grip, other people like to go for a wide grip, because they say that it preferentially hits different places of the biceps. Actually, that is all speculation, and in my opinion, it's not really worth the reduced range of motion you get while going for an extra narrow or extra wide grip. Now that we talked about all that, let's talk about form. Before you start the movement, stand upright with the barbell, brace your core, aka flex your abs, place your elbows comfortably near your torso. Also try and flex your shoulder blades backwards, which will pull the tension back into your biceps. Just before you start the movement, you want to make sure you slightly flex your shoulders, bringing your arms slightly forward, but only slightly. While doing the curl, think about putting most of the pressure into your pinky and ring finger. This will make sure you force yourself into a more supinated grip hand position. This is also called active supination. You also want to think about pulling the bar up and out instead of pulling the bar only up. Why do this? Because this way the distance between the center of mass of the barbell and the axis of rotation, in this case your elbows, is going to be bigger. If the distance is bigger, you're going to generate more torque, which will place more tension into your biceps brachii. And generating tension into your biceps brachii is the whole point of this movement. So the more tension you can generate, the better. Also, while performing the movement, never forget to not let your wrist rotate inwards, and try to always maintain a neutral position. Actually, this is not 100% true, because in advanced cases, some people will let their wrists rotate a little bit outwards. This is in order to shift the tension from your forearm to your biceps even more. But like I said, this is an advanced technique, and if you are trying it and you are feeling wrist pains, stop doing it immediately. There is no amount of tension you can get on your biceps brachii that is worth injuring your wrists over. This is all for the form of the barbell or easy bar or dumbbell curl actually. And now that I talked about all these subjects, I wanted to talk about the final subject, which is common errors while making this exercise. The first common error I see is people putting too much weight in their barbell curls. Okay, like I said before, light to moderate weight is best, because when you start putting too much weight on the barbell, you are most of the times going to start cheating more and using assistance of other muscles instead of isolating only the biceps. Not saying that cheat curls do not have a place on a good workout regimen, but most people, especially if you are concentrating on the controlling the eccentric part of the curl. Okay, if you are doing sheet curls and concentrating on the eccentric part of the curl and really controlling it and controlling the weight down, it can be an awesome workout. But most people will just add more weight, and instead of doing progressive overload, they will do progressive sheeting, and tension on the biceps will at best stay the same. Most of the times it will be even lower than before. So really go for the squeeze while you're doing this exercise instead of adding weight. Try and work out your mind-muscle connection with the biceps. The second most common mistake I see in this exercise is the lack of active supination. Like I said before, active supination is when you focus more of the pressure in your pinky and ring fingers in order to force yourself into a more supinated hand grip. And like I said before also, this works because it will take more tension from your forearm into your biceps. Well guys, this is all for today's video of bicep curls. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give me a like and comment below. Also subscribe and share with your friends so you can see the next videos. So guys, peace.